Welcome, 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 glowers. So we're going to get started. Actually, it is 11:10 Eastern Standard Time, and yes, I am aware that a lot of YouTubers are actually down and out of commission. Uh, I was, of course, originally supposed to glow on at 5, and because it is 11:11. I planned on doing a special kind of event tonight with my babes. Hey, Sir Senior. Salute, salute. So, Sir Senior, today for the first person in, we have a giveaway of the Africa earrings that I wear. But since you're the first man in, you can decide another female to give them to. So that might be cool. So we do have brother William joining us from MX Media. Brother William, how are you today?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you great. I can
Okay.
hear you great.
Okay. Thank you. I'm okay. I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting me in.
Oh, of course, of course. Thank you for making it tonight. We do have I was given kind of the heads up to the rest of the glowers that I am aware that a lot of YouTubes are down, a lot of YouTubers are down.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just do what it do and unpack this thing. And I thank you again also for just being so receptive to the idea, because this is not a comfortable conversation.
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
it challenges, you agree, right?
Yes.
Um it challenges people to kind of, and this is not to shame anybody. Let me just make that disclaimer right here, right now. This topic is not to shame anyone from, we're not saying here, hey, go out and quit your jobs tomorrow. You know, I'm not telling y'all to do that. I'm really not. But what I think we do need to start having is a conversation as a people, as you and I always say, brother William, as a people, as a community, as a culture, we've got to have these type of conversations that challenge our conditioning, because that's really what it is. That's really what it
Yeah.
is. And
That's right.
it's very hard for us to achieve independence. It's really hard for us to achieve any type of progress if we are still allowing ourselves to be, for lack of a better term, enslaved to the system. You know. So let's go ahead and introduce the topic. Uh, the topic is what's going on with escaping the plantation. Now, how I came up with that, first of all, again, I want to give homage to the day, because again, you all, it is 11:11. This is a very spiritual time for our people. This is an extreme year for waking up, for exposure, for clarifying. That what they say, that 2020 vision. This is the time that's happening for a lot of people. A lot of people are quote unquote waking up. And so with it being 11:11, there's power in that symbolism, in that reality. And I just want to just, very much acknowledge that there's a huge shift going on. There's a big transition that's happening. I know with myself personally, I see it and I feel it, and I just see it happening with a lot of things around me. They're starting to sync up. They're starting to make sense. A lot of things are becoming clearer now more than ever before. So I just want to say that before we furthermore delve into this topic and how I came about it. Um, I am a grown woman, as I always like to tell people. I'm a grown woman, and um, even with that being said, I've never really been without, like, I've never had a I've never been in a time in my life where I have just never, like, I've just taken it easy and just not done anything, right? Um and that doesn't mean that there have been times when I have not, I've gone years literally where I've not been employed a 9 to 5, but I've always been a person that works. I've always worked. I've always liked um just the networking, the I won't say the hustling, but definitely I like building. I like building. I like connecting. I love networking. I love seeing a vision come to life, that sort of thing. That's not always the case when you're working a 9 to 5. So I wanted to clarify that statement in regards to what a plantation is. When I say the plantation, I'm talking about literally you're going to work for a company or a organization that you have no play or part in. And I want to discuss what are some ways that we can, as a people, gain our independence by leaving the plantation. I know a lot of people refer to the US as a whole as a plantation. That's not the way that I intended it, but I do understand that that is the rationale that some people have. And also, I understand and appreciate that when I say us problems, it is US capital. So I'm talking about us in particular. I'm talking about melanated people. I'm talking about the people of the diaspora. I'm talking about people from our community, our culture, and people that look like us. Even if you don't want to be called Black or African American, people from the diaspora. So when I say us problems, that's what I'm referring to. So, uh, so that's I'm going to open up our discussion by stating that. And Brother William, if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself and why you felt it was so important to contribute or participate in this panel tonight, especially at such an hour as this.
Yes. First of all, thank you again. And I am William Dukes, and I believe that this type of discussion is very, very necessary at any time of the hour of the day because we're in need of a greater awareness of where we are when it comes down to communications or communications abilities. And what unifies us is our ability to communicate. And I think that's very important. And that's what makes this important and this type of discussion important because we need a greater awareness. So that's my position on that. And more to say on it. I just want to touch on that. But yeah, so I want to pass the mic unless you want me to, yeah, that's all I got for now.
Well, thank you. And absolutely, I absolutely agree. This is a time for us to definitely sharpen our awareness. And I can just say that, you know, it has felt to me, and I know that COVID has not affected everyone the same way, and it hasn't been positive for everyone. But it has felt to me like there has never been a time that I can remember in my history that it was we had such an opportunity to organize, to really grasp some principles, some core principles, to revisit our roots, so to speak, and to align ourselves accordingly. I've never seen this in my life, and like I say, I'm grown. I'm a 42 years old, and I have I've lived through the Rodney Kings and the OJ Simpsons and the Trayvon Martins and the Reagan era, both Bushes, and I have never seen black people awake like they are right now. What do you have to say in that regards? William, what was a conversation like this 5 years ago as opposed to right now? That that's
That's
something I really want to know.
Oh, that's a really good question because I think because of the standpoint, the position that we're in as a people, which is very unique, we are people who have been devastated, so to speak, without repair. And because of this condition that we're in, we're kind of like in a state where, kind of like what the Bible says, see if you can find 10 good men. And I mean, women and men, but see if you can find 10 because the community is completely destroyed. So, in spite of the history of how it was being destroyed, we can have that discussion another time. But the fact that we're coming from that standpoint, we have to see that and then actually start to look for 10 good men. And then that's how we're going to establish it. This is my strongest position that we're not at a normal overall, a normal minds condition, a normal mindset. Nothing's normal about us as a whole. Uh, so I think that will be very important. Uh, and I rest my mind.
You just said something that's one of my favorite actually Bible scriptures when that is discussed. If you could just find me, if you could just find me 10 good men, I'll save this whole city. I'll save this whole city. And as hard as that has been to kind of establish and engage with 10 like-minded people, at the same time we are in the best position, like I said, that I've seen. I want to be very honest. Even when Obama was president, I didn't see this type of activity from Black people. What do you have to say to that, Brother William?
Again, hardship. I think we tend to respond to hardship uh, better. We tend to, I guess, unify behind hardship. It's like slavery and Jim Crow. We were more united during slavery and Jim Crow than we were during integration. Integration didn't do anything but cause us to actually sell our all the things we had, our privilege, our unity, our love for one another, our community. We actually sold it to them because we thought they had it better. You know, the grass was more greener on their side, so we were deceived. But I think that overall is the problem because we're not, we're yeah, we're not. Yeah, I kind of lost my thought, but yeah, that's my main point.
That because of the fact that we are in a form of hardship, and this is where, okay, this is the moment where rubber meets the road, and we have to talk about some hard truths. And when I was speaking of the reason why I felt the Trump presidency was more impactful and empowering for Black people, it is because of that reason. Because in hardships, just like you said, Brother William, we tend to wake up a little faster. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
um with in regards to when Obama was president, everyone swore they might as well have been the president. I remember, because I was in Charlotte at the time during Obama's first presidency, and I remember people whistling going to work. I said I had never seen this. William, I said this is sad.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
This was sad to me. Can I tell you,
Yes.
people were just happy. They were just happy for no reason. And that may sound like very dark of me to say, but they were happy for no reason. When I say that, they were happy and our unemployment rates were climbing. They were happy and our redlining districts were increasing. They were happy and balloon loans were at an all-time high. But you happy going to work. just that didn't make sense to me. And let me also be very frank and very clear, very transparent. I voted for Obama both times, and the second time actually, for with Obama, I campaigned, and I was very pregnant with my son, and I just felt like, you know what, this was really important. That here I was pregnant, and I was hitting those streets, very pregnant, hitting those streets and doing my canvassing and very involved. So when I say that, I'm not saying that, and I was just sitting back, resting on my butt, because even as a very pregnant woman, I was out there. I was out there. My ex husband and I, we even housed a couple of Obama workers. It was an incredible it was an incredibly concerted, effort and movement. Everyone that was involved with that campaign, you just really felt like you were part of something major. And I definitely felt that as well. But I also can tell you that, um as things started to sink in over the next, couple of years, that the next over the during the terms, it just really seemed as though, wow, what we did was we handed black people just kind of another round of dopamine, you know calming everybody down, putting everybody back to sleep, and really distracted us from our issues. So when I say that the Trump presidency was empowering for black people, I mean it's because it woke us up, and it made us kind of realize that we have to do more aligning with one another, because enemies were exposed from all different angles. It wasn't just, people riding around in cake in clan robes. It was, you got to see business practices exposed, from who was hiring what. You got to see certain legislatives, you know, exposed, from who was allowing in certain things, but they were contesting things on the other end. And I think that what also went very overlooked, but was very impactful also, was that during the Trump presidency, you had major sex crimes and sexual traffic stings that were highly publicized. Not to say that these weren't happening when any other president was in office, but they weren't publicized. You understand? A lot of men that got locked up, a lot of predators that got convicted, they were convicted publicly. Whereas in other presidencies terms, these men were, they were able to plead deals, and there was time served that you never even heard about, but they were able to kind of backdoor it. That wasn't the case with this one. So I think that because of Trump's because of his not used because of his because of the fact that he was not a typical politician, he felt more of a need to um for his wins to be well publicized. You understand? And so that's why I think we saw it more. And I think that not to confuse activity with achievement, what I always say, but at the same time, that is a big reason why I think that is more impactful and empowering, because we actually saw how things were being played out. Whereas a lot of times in politics, and I can tell you from being an elected official, a lot of things go on not on the dais, and there's not a lot of transparency when there's a lot of policies being made. But because Trump was not a typical politician, there was a lot exposed that would have typically not have been. So Snuggles has a couple of questions here. I'm going to get to that. But he says, "What do you think about the proposal of the movement of the African descendants of slaves? What do you think about that, William?"
What movement is that?
You said what?
What movement was that?
Oh, the proposal of the movement of the of African descent American I'm sorry, American descendants of slaves. So it is a reparations movement, but
Yeah.
they are saying that they want to make sure that Africans are not included in the reparations payout. Do you think that that is more divisive and harmful than it is helpful? What are your thoughts in regards to that?
Well, the way you put that is very, very good, because I think it is more divisive and harmful, because we are Africans and Black Americans are, we are brothers and sisters. We just, and the enemy wanted, the enemy's intention in the beginning was to divide and conquer us, and they've done that. They still continue to do that. But I think we has to grow to a higher level of maturity when it comes down to our ability to attain independence. We're gonna think the independent thought. Right now, I think we're immature overall. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, very immature. I think we don't think that independent thought. So when you think the independent thought, I mean, all the way to the height of sovereignty, then you won't be appealing to any government that's for freedom, justice, and equality. You'll be trying to self sustain. You'll be trying to get that yourself. You'll turn to yourself and say, let's equalize ourselves. Let's build us, and that's why equality stuff has come. I hope I answered the question, but
You know
specific,
what? That
yeah,
is so poignant, and you're so right. It's an immaturity, and I think that's a reason why a lot of us don't see the importance or the significance of being independent of the quote unquote corporation plantations. And I will say this: I would not dare tell anyone to do something that I have not done or would not do. So when I say it said at the top of the show that I'm not telling anyone to quit their jobs tomorrow and put yourself in a bad predicament. I have done that. I have done that. I've walked off of jobs. I've walked off of plenty of jobs. I have. Um, the last one was probably one of the best jobs I ever had. I worked for the city of Miami. It was before I ran for office. Well, actually, it was during the time that I was running for office. I felt like working for the city would have been a conflict of interest to the community that I was supposed to be, representing. And, I gave my 2 week notice, but that was a job that was paying me very close to $100,000 a year. But I felt as though what I was going to be doing and representing the community that I was going to be representing, I didn't want to compromise myself by making certain decisions just in order to keep a job, which I worked for the city of Miami and I worked in government for the city of Miami. So sometimes we do have to make that decision, and I know plenty of people told me that they would have waited to have been elected, or they would have waited for something to have come down the fold before they even if they were elected, before they left a job that was paying that type of money and had those type of benefits. But you know that would always upset me when I would get into these conversations with people, because they don't realize that we don't get the same type of treatment when we walk away, when we not when we walk away, but we don't get that same type of treatment. I say we, I mean us. I mean melanated people of the diaspora, African American, black, whatever you want to call it. We don't get that same type of warning shot. You understand, when we're working a job that has a conflict of interest. And I say that because I offer up two very, very similar cases, but two vastly different outcomes. Let's look at, John Edwards, and let's look at Kwame Kilpatrick, from Detroit. Two similar cases, two similar situations, two definitely different outcomes. And so
right.
we have to be very mindful when we say things like, oh, just keep working the job until something else comes along, or until you're fired from the job. Because sometimes you don't end up being fired and being able to file unemployment. You end up, with the type of, especially when you're talking about government situations, you end up with some time or some probation, and then you lose everything. So I think that we need to be very mindful of the cost of being independent, but being able to also rest assured that with the freedom of the independence, uh, are with the comfort or the convenience of being a part of a corporation or a system, you know, the it's not all easy when you're independent. But I tell you, at the end of the day, at least I have my freedom. At least I have I feel like I did make a better decision at the right time. And I don't think that's why I said I don't want us to get into shaming people that make the decision to do the 9 to 5s, but at the same time, I want us to also not shame the people that don't. Um, wow. Hey Donnie, how are you? How are you doing? We are we are we are definitely unpacking this situation. Would love, let me know if you want to join the panel, Donnie, because I will send you an email if you would like to join the panel. I really appreciated your contributions that I've been watching over the last couple of streams that we've been in. So, Snuggles says, "Do you think Black people do not have the ability to think for themselves and always put themselves in a bad predicament?" I think a lot of us do. I think it's conditioning. Hey, brother Bakari, I emailed you the link in case you want to join the stream. I emailed you. Let me know. Um, so did you hear that, brother William? Did you need me to read that
Okay.
again?
Go
Let
ahead
me
again.
post
Read it
it.
again.
I'm gonna post it and read it again. It
Okay.
says,
Okay.
do you think Black people do not have the ability to think for themselves and always put themselves into a bad predicament?"
Well, that's a yes and a no to that. But I think the proof is in the pudding. So what we need to do, our lacking is obvious. It's very obvious. So yes, yeah. So yes.
You think so? We don't have the ability. I think the majority of us don't. I do think that we've been very conditioned. And then on top of that, not only are we conditioned, but we put our children into situations so that they have to be very conditioned as well. You know what really got me, and I'm gonna be very. You can always rely on me, you guys, to be transparent with you all. Um, my children are middle school age, both of them now, and we were at the top of COVID, which was, of course, about March of 2020. You guys, I see we got with this is growing. Put your glowers up if you're in the room because you guys know. Hey, Sammy's treasure, send me an email, sis, if you want to join the link. Okay, if you want to join the panel. Thank you so much for sharing this with your viewers as well, because that was such a good topic today. So, man, I'm telling you, you really hit home with it. But I was very surprised that my children, at the top of COVID, we had a conversation about, what exactly how I could help them with their studies, what they needed, how I could assist them and what they had been, learning. And y'all, I'm not a hands-off parent. I'm a pretty hands-on parent. But when I tell you that I woke is out here playing on the stream, y'all. Please, y'all, make sure y'all go up and like this chat, because woke is using all of his troll accounts to be harmful, to be divisive. We won't have it happen today. But I had a conversation with my children about what they were learning and what they wanted to learn. And so um I was really surprised that they did not know what I thought that I had to just I felt like they were simple questions, and they really just were not aware of a couple of things. Oh. Oh, well, thank you for stopping in, Brother Bakari. Definitely. Right. It was such a good discussion. It was a really powerful discussion, Sammy. Thank you so much again for having it. Thank you again. And again, if you want to join the panel here, please let me know. You can send an email to Group Glow Up because I don't have your email, but send it over if you would like to join it. But I was very surprised on what my children didn't know. I was surprised that my daughter was telling me about Emmett Till, and you all know how much I had talked to her about Emmett Till, and she was telling me about Emmett Till as though she had the first time she heard it was from her history teacher's lips. And I was looking at her like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? You know how many times we've had this discussion about Emmett Till and Malcolm X and Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and and even Nat Turner, because my ex-husband is a Turner relative, Nat Turner relative. And so, but she was, eyes wide open, like I don't recall this. And it really saddened me because, like I said, I'm not a hands-off type of parent, y'all. I'm really not. But what I am also is a very community active parent. So yeah, I'm not working with projects so much as I was, because like I said, at the time I was an elected official. I was on oh, thank you so much. Hey Ronald, welcome. Um So, as much as I was on the dais, that was time where I wasn't home with my children. You know, literally, people from my church would come pick my kids up on Friday nights when we had our, council meetings, and they would take them to they had youth night at the church. And here I was thinking, okay, well, that's great, because they're at church and they're still having a good time, and they're still around friends and that sort of thing. But and here I am on the dais and I'm doing my part, I feel. But then COVID, like I said, it just really exposed how much my kids were missing from me, and the opportunity that really lied ahead for me to develop curriculum, which I do as a job, as a consultant. I write curriculum for other organizations, for youth organizations. And here I was with my two babies, my own two babies that I birthed, my flesh and blood, and they couldn't answer simple questions from my own curriculum. So I did make a decision this year to homeschool my children as opposed to just throwing them back into the rigmarole. It has not been an easy decision. I feel like some days we don't get anything accomplished, but it does give me much pleasure that I am there every step of the way answering those questions, and helping them find those answers when they don't know the questions. So it's like I said, it has not been a simple adjustment, but it has absolutely been very worthwhile seeing them learn something and seeing how they're holding on to it and what they're holding on to, as opposed to me just kind of glossing over it and then learning later on that they didn't grasp what I thought they were grasping. Hello, NC Worker. How are you? How is North Carolina? Are you guys getting the storms like us? Yes, sir, senior. He is very bitter. I'm not even going to address that, but I think Snuggles had another good question, and good evening to you. Had another good question up here that I wanted to address. Um, let's see. Thank you so much, Sammy's. Thank you so much. Okay, Snuggles said that's why I'm asking. And sorry that we're just getting to it because I was rambling a little there, Snuggles. But that's why I'm asking is because what black people allowed to happen to themselves over and over and over again, or am I wrong for thinking that the way that I think? So, you know, Well, William, do you want to take this because this is scripture? This is scripture. You know, we walked in the desert in a circle for 40 years. You know, it wasn't 400, but we walked in the circle for 40 years before we finally just before we not just but before we broke those generational curses. So that's what we're dealing with personally. But Brother William, the question is, that's the reason why I'm asking, is because what black people allow to happen to themselves over and over and over again, or am I wrong for thinking the way that I think? Do you think that it's wrong for people to think that, or for black people, for us to be kind of our biggest critics um when it comes to the plight of black people and why we're in the situation that we're in?
You said what? That we should. Would you repeat?
Wait, speak a little bit more into the mic. I couldn't hear you, William.
Okay, okay. What was the question? I think it's negative.
Yeah, do you think that it's wrong for black people to think the way that we think, and the way that when they think that we're kind of responsible for our own condition? Are we wrong for that? Hey, Moses, how are you? Been a
Uh,
minute.
that's a good question. I don't know how to answer that one. I know this that we have to see the devastation. We are a war torn, genocided people. We have been destroyed. Okay, so from that perspective, we have to be able to see again that we're in this situation. To better it, we have to see that first, right? So nothing negative about truth. If someone states something about our condition and what we're doing and what we're not doing, and if it's true, I stand to it. I stand to it. I stand back on it. So I stand on it strong, rather. But I don't know if I answered the question. I just we don't. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, okay, so kind of, I think so. This is two parts, like you said. It's a complicated situation because we are so war torn, and I want us to really, really just consider a couple of things when we talk about this, because this conversation does come up very frequently. Because I can tend to be very conservative when it comes to some of my views, right? Um, uh, I always say I'm liberal. I'm liberal with my money, but I'm very conservative with my policy. You understand? It should be the other way around, but this is how it plays out. But it's like when I was telling my sister, and she would say, and I agreed with her. She said, "Man, when you go, because we're both independent consultants, right?" And she's like, "Man, when you go to work for these, white companies, oh, they cut that check no problem. But when you go to work for these black companies, first of all, they don't want to pay you what you agreed on and what they know you're worth, and then they want to nickel and dime you about everything that you're getting paid for." And I always tell her, or I often would tell her, I know that that's the truth, but it also comes from the fact that black people, ultimately, a lot of us don't have it because white people have stolen it. So it's not like we don't want to help and we don't want to support and we don't want to pay each other what we're worth. It's the fact that we honestly, a lot of us don't do not have it. So it's this is because I find this happens a lot, with churches. Let's be very frank. A lot of churches that I would work for, and I would be putting together a program or something for them. Oh, they would be very good until it came up to, okay, this is what it costs for me to continue to do this service. And you're thinking, well, a church is bringing in thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, so they should be able to pay me what I need to be paid. And of course, surely that may be the case. In some instances, in most instances, I would stop working for it. I stopped working for the churches until it came down to just one church that I was working with, because I was like, I could afford to not get paid from this one church, but I couldn't afford to not get paid from like, 10 of them. But I understood. So what I ended up doing was helping the church that needed the most help. You understand? Instead of me helping the church that I thought had the most money to give, I helped the church that needed the most help. So that way I wasn't in a position of where I felt they could be paying more. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? And I think that we could do that more so as a people. Instead of helping the one that look like they got it, can I be real with y'all for a second? Instead of working with the people that look like they got it, so they should be able to pay, work with the family that looks like they don't. And so therefore, whatever you get, you're encouraged by it. You are appreciative of it. You're grateful for it because you weren't expecting more. So I know that that may sound a little harsh, but I do think sometimes we expect more of each other than what we even require from white people. We do. We'll go into McDonald's and we'll take what they give you, right? But when you go to the wing stop man on the corner, not wing stop, but maybe Larry's Wings and things. Oh, you want everything to be real perfect. You want everything fried just right. You want everything. And these demands you don't make at McDonald's. You know, you take what's in that bag and you keep going and you keep going. Now you might have paid a little less at McDonald's, so you're like, okay, I'm getting what I paid for. But I think sometimes we do tend to expect more from a black owned business, black organizations, because of the fact that we're black. But we don't require that same thing from the white. um at least that's been my personal experience. But I see a lot of good quotes are coming by here. Thank you so much, Ronald. um Donnie goes and says makes sense. Yeah, you know what I mean. We don't want to work for each other, and so when we do find ourselves in a position to work for each other, we tend to, I knew a person and she was getting money, she was getting it, but she was in a section of Miami called Miami Gardens, and she charges her black clients, and she said she did not feel bad about it, and sis was getting her money. She charges her black clients, she said she charges them almost 3 times as much as she charges her white, because she feels like her white clients are going to refer her. Her black clients aren't, so she has to get all that she can out of the black client. She was like, her black clients, they're the only ones that are going to pay her. They're not going to refer her. So that is the way it is. She's a realtor. Um, okay, so these are some really good comments. Let me go up. So Moses Wright, welcome again, Moses Wright, to the room. Moses Wright says, Willie Lynch syndrome. We are conditioned to hold each other back because they split us apart. And you know what? It's so true, you guys. And not just split us apart, but you guys have to understand, we were beaten for working together. We were killed from working together. Husbands had to watch their wives gang raped from working together. I mean, when you think about this didn't just happen for weeks or months. This happened for years, for decades, for centuries. And so when you think about the effect that happens, I like to go back again to my son's project he did last year, which I'm so mad he didn't take home first place in the science fair with it, because it was a really good experiment where he took 3 jars of rice, right? Rice, 3 jars of rice, and he spoke love into one jar, he spoke hate into the other, and he spoke in he didn't he some days he didn't speak to the other jar, some days he did. Some days he spoke words of kindness, some days he didn't speak at all, some days he spoke words of just mean. But it just jars of rice, guys, the same rice. Don't you know we still have that love jar of rice? And you cannot tell that this rice was cooked a year ago. That the hate jar we had to dispose of when we moved from Miami. That rice was already looking like it had been through what it had been through for him just speaking hate into it every day. And the indifference rice was almost in the same condition that the hate rice was. So when you think that words don't matter, that these things don't matter, look at look at that particular experiment. It was a Asian scientist that did it. I will post his link into the playback of this particular episode of the What's Going On series. But it was we got the idea from an Asian. He was an Asian. He's an Asian scientist. He did it with plants. He did it with water, and he did it with rice. And the results were phenomenal. So when you think that that words don't have an effect, that's why I tell people all the time, you cannot pay me to play nothing for about from Cardi B to my kids. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. Words do have an effect. Whether you think that, because what does a rice know about being hated or being loved? But when these results were revealed, that this rice, because my son had said, and what does he know? What did he know at 10 years old? He was telling the rice just, hey, you're the coolest rice. You look so nice. You what does a rice kernel know about looking nice? But that rice flourished. That rice never molded, it never wilted, and we still have the rice. It looks like we just made it last week. It does. Um, Ronald Finkley says, Moses, we split each other apart. We did. We did. Absolutely. Snuggle says, so this is not just a question. And I'm reading back here, you guys. So I apologize if I've missed anybody's comments. So this is not just a question about Black in America. It's about Blacks in general on the ability to be docile when it comes to everybody else, but aggressive when it comes to their own. Wow. Wow. Snuggles, I think that might be the comment of the night. I'm going to leave that up there. So Ronald Finkley says we need to be accountable. Absolutely. This is what this channel is about, being accountable. This is what this group is about. I just don't think of this as being a kind of a one-sided situation. I feel like we should all be able to engage, to network. I'm always saying to each other, hey, to everyone to get emails from each other. Make a relationship BTB, beyond the boards. Don't just let talking here be the end all and be all. Um, Sir Senior says, facts. We hate ourselves, so we hate everything that resembles ourselves in each other as well. That may be the case for some people. I tell you, I love me some me. I love me some me. I love me some black men and beautiful men. Definitely. I love me some me, but definitely there was a long period of time where there were actions that I exhibited that I did not appreciate were self hate. I did not appreciate it. I did not appreciate that it was self hate. Um, Ronald Finkley says we don't want to work for each other. We don't. A lot of us don't. We don't. We don't want to be bossed around by somebody that looks like us. Where does that come from, William? What are your thoughts on that? Why don't we like to work for each other?
Well, because of I guess we don't see the big picture. We gotta step back and see the problem. We gotta see the problem. So if we actually see the problem, kind of like a psychologist. Now I know everybody's not a psychologist, but we still all need to take the psychological approach or analysis to our problem. We step back and say, like I say, we have there's something wrong. Well, when you come with that attitude, there's something wrong, you start to figure out what's the problem. Then when you figure that out, then you start looking for solutions. And I think each of us who's trying to build got to be thinking like that, because that's the only way we're gonna move forward or even get started with anything that's gonna be more progressive and productive and positive. If I answer your question.
Agreed. Yes, absolutely, and I agree. I think that we we have a hard time working for each other. You know what? I used to work. My first job in Coconut Grove was with a brilliant man who was a community developer. Well, like a community. What was he? He was like a community liaison, but he basically was an organizer of these businesses um, to go after grants and all and that sort of thing. The brother was from Chicago and he was a Muslim, and he before he became where he was in the position that I worked for him as a executive director. He was a business owner, and he said that they used to rob him all the time. You know, every other weekend he said he had never had a gun in Chicago. Can you imagine that? He never had to have a gun in Chicago, but he had to have a gun when he opened up his business. He went from having, I think he said he had a cleaners to then he had a newsstand, but he had to get into the habit of having a gun. And he said finally one time, he was crying so bad because he was a young man when he had first started. By the time I worked for him, he was in his 60s. But when he had first moved from Chicago to Miami, he was like 30 years old, so or almost 30. And he said he was crying one day after they had broken into his newsstand, and they had kind of turned everything over and everything. And he said he was crying real bad, and there was a neighborhood, kind of a transient guy in the neighborhood, and he said, "You don't cry over them, because the reason why they hate you is because every time they see you and you're doing your business, it makes them feel bad because they never pursued their own dreams. So they're hating that they didn't do what you've done. They're not hating you." And he said from that day on, he never cried again. He said he eventually, he got robbed. He eventually shut his doors, but he took it in stride every time when he did get robbed after that point, because he understood now that it wasn't because of what he was doing. It was a direct reflection of what they felt like they couldn't do. And that's the real. That's the real. So Ronald Finkley says, I live in Vermont and I can't wait to see my brother or sister I can build with. These resources are abundant. I definitely hear you there. Uh, Vermont's a little too cold for my taste. I'm from Philly. I don't want to move back north again because of the weather. So Donnie goes in. It says, I want my fries hot with an extra T. So Donnie said he don't care if it's coming from McDonald's or Larry's Wingstop. He want his fries hot. Okay. Um, Snuggles 668 says, I thought Cardi B was black girl magic. I thought she was a black woman just like your vice president. Snuggles, you better stop playing. You better stop playing. Ain't nothing black about Cardi B but the penis she putting in her on a daily basis. Don't play with me. Um, and sometimes probably ain't even putting the penis in on a daily basis. She got to go track down her penis. I'm not gonna go there. That's much I'm gonna say about it. But no, Cardi B, and I tell you, even if she was black, I still wouldn't play her music. Like I would never play no Megan Thee Stallion music around my kids. There's just not things like I said. You couldn't pay me to play them and to pass off that idiotic ideology that words don't matter. I'm a writer. At my core, y'all, I'm a writer. I've been a writer since I was 8 years old. So you're never going to convince a writer that words don't matter. They do. They do. Um, so Ronald Finkley says, if I'll take my brother or sister in. Oh, and peace to brother Palmetto Star. I saw you say you'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, brother. And you have the link. I emailed it over to you if you want to join this panel. Um, brother William, brother Palmetto, hashtag too raw for TV. He is a local. He's a fighter. He's a brother here, a brother in revolution. Known him for about 13, 14 years, and he's also local to us here in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, so Ronald Finkley says, "I'll take my brother or sister in if it leads to something positive." I agree. I agree. You know what? I had a home, a beautiful home in Miami. I lost my home after a 2-year fight, but I had a beautiful home in Miami, and that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to always have a room open to be able to just give somebody a couple of nights rest. Y'all never know how much that does for somebody. Just give them a peace of mind. They don't, especially if you're a woman, you don't have to worry about sleeping with someone to get a warm bed and a hot meal. And then, if you're a man, I never took a man in, I will say that. And of course, that's for a number of reasons. I was a single woman, 2 children. So I never took a man in to spend the night. But I did have a couple of young ladies that just stay the night or two, and it does make so much of a difference. It does make so much of a difference that just to help them get their day together, their plans together. One young lady, actually, she spent the night before she had an interview the next day. Her aunt had put her out the house, told her to come home with a check, not an interview. And I saw her crying on the train, and I asked her what was wrong, and she said that her aunt had put her out, and she showed me the text messages. And I said, hey, well, I have a room open. My kids are with their dad. You can come and stay the night. Didn't know this girl from Adam. And she came and stayed the night, and she got a good night's rest, and she got that job. She woke up the next day, went to her job interview, she got the job. You just never know how much you give somebody. And I remember when I was sharing that with my Bible study group, oh my gosh, they were like, oh, you should never have done that. Now she knows where you stay, and when those kids are back, she could probably bring somebody over there. She gonna rob you. I want everybody to always know I haven't had a TV. I don't keep things like that. I don't have things like that. So I said the only thing they could really rob me of is the Bible and my Malcolm X poster. That's really what they could rob me of. I do not keep valuables like that in my home. The most valuable thing that I have on my persons is my brain. My brain and my heart. That those are my items of value. Um so let's see here. So Ronald said it sounds clear, but could be clearer. I don't know. Is that for me or for Brother William? I am trying to speak more into my mic. Y'all know I am working on backup equipment. The laptop, the new equipment is on its way. I thank all of you all for contributing, for purchasing my book, for making that purchase, making that possible for me to order my new laptop. The store did not have it in stock, so I had to order it offline. So it should be here soon. Counting the days. Thank you guys again. Um, oh, you said he sounds clear, but it could be clearer there. Okay, they're talking about you, Brother William. So try to speak more into the mic.
Okay.
Um, so it says same place that 99.9% of our problems come from. Colonization. Absolutely, colonization brings conditioning. It has to, because how are you going to convince a whole people, a whole country, a whole nation to not fight back? Colonization breeds conditioning. So Snuggle says you can't blame Cardi B and Megan the male horse because look at the music they used to listen to, like Little Kim. Even with Little Kim, and I did used to listen to Little Kim. I was my first year at FAMU when Little Kim dropped. Um, it's different. It is really really different. And I tell you, even with Little Kim, like you had to sneak to listen to her. Like my mom wasn't listening to Little Kim. My mom had actually been deceased at that point. By the time Little Kim dropped, she had been deceased for about 6 months. And I thought about that when Little Kim dropped. I thought about that. I said, "Wow, I was glad my mom was not alive with her physical ears to hear that, because honey, I used to be dancing and tooting it up for Little Kim. You hear me? And I'm like, I'm glad my mom ain't here to see this, even though I'm sure she was watching. I was like, she ain't here to see it. But you feel like you had to sneak. I mean, even though my mom wasn't even living, I still thought about her in that regard because of the fact that Little Kim's music was so there, so raunchy. Foxy Brown, same thing. But with Megan the Stallion and Cardi B, that's what concerns me most is that you have grown women, you have mothers, you have parents listening to this garbage and they're letting their children listen to it as well. I saw recently, and it broke my heart a little. Um, so as you all know, I lived in a very tight knit community in Miami where I was very proud to serve as councilwoman. And one of my constituents, one of my people that voted for me, and she had been a parent worker when I had my summer camp. I saw her on a recent Facebook video, and she asked her daughter, it was a TikTok video. She asked her daughter what her favorite song was, and the daughter she was asking her what her favorite song was, what the mom's favorite song was. So it was a mom asking the daughter what the mom's favorite song was, and the daughter started singing the lyrics to WAP, to WAP. Now, I haven't even listened to this full song. I haven't. I know the lyrics, but I have not listened to the song at all. Like, I refuse to because I feel like once that goes in my ear, you understand, words are so powerful. I don't even want to bring that back to my children. I don't want to bring that energy in all. Just reading the words were enough for me. But the fact that I saw this lady and she has a daughter, my daughter's same age, literally, and they just were both laughing. She thought that was so cute and funny. And I want y'all to know, ain't a dang thing funny about that. It really is not. And I just felt so hurt. I was like, dang, that was one of my people. So Donnie goes in and says, Omega Courtney, may blessings return to you a thousandfold. Thank you so much, Donnie, but you can't cop a book. I still have these links available. Email me, group glow up. I'll put it up here on the screen, y'all. I still have plenty of links available, y'all. That's the beauty of links and not of books. I don't run out of them. And I thank you so much for stating that though. Because again, words are power. Words are power, and I receive that. I receive that. Um, let's see. Sir Senior says, shaking my head at Snuggle 668. We also have to make choices ourselves. Absolutely, absolutely. We have to be more elevated minded. Is what I say. Oh, okay. My book info. I will send you a summary. If you just go ahead and email me, I will send you a summary. Oh, you did? You emailed me? Okay. I didn't get it, I don't think. I don't think. I didn't get it. Send it again. I think because if you got the email from yesterday, I might have been typing it too fast, Donnie. Or I'll email you because I did get your email address. I saw as you say your email address is the same as your social media on all platforms. So I'll email you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that commitment. That means a lot. Um, so because y'all know I am independent, y'all. I said I told Brother William today. I said I'm so tired of people asking me what I do for a living, what I don't do for a living. Just because I can't tell you that I work over at so and so building or so and so is my boss doesn't mean that I don't work, y'all. I work on the daily. Work on the daily. All right, so
That's
Snuggle668 says, but listen to the context of Little Kim's music. It's the same exact thing. The only difference in Little Kim, Cardi B, and Megan the male horse, everything is vulgar. There is no difference. Okay, and I agree, but like I said, the difference to me personally was that my mom wouldn't have been listening to Little Kim. She wouldn't have. There's no way. It concerns me that moms and daughters, like, there are moms my age that have daughters, my daughter's age, and they're listening to the music together. That's the difference. It's not in the artist. I'm not saying that their music is still, yes, the same type of music. The difference is the what do you call the people patronizing the patronizers are the difference. My mom wouldn't have been listening to Little Kim with me. No way, no doubt about it. My mom would have kicked my butt. Um, are you going to blame Cardi B or are you going to blame the mothers? I blame both because Cardi B is a mother. She is a mother. So I'm gonna blame. They all get it. They all get it. It's enough to go around. Like I said, I was disappointed in my former parent worker. I'm disappointed that she would have her daughter listen to that. Like I said, our daughters are the same age. I'm really disappointed in that whole scenario, and the fact that she had that advertised on online. Like that was cute. That's y'all don't make me curse, but that ass ain't cute. That ass ain't cute. Um, Thank you, Sir Senior. I agree. Both are to blame, but the mother's more. But that's the thing. This is a mother too. Cardi B is a mother too, and so that's the problem I see there also. So Snuggle said, "How would you blame Cardi B when she doesn't even know the children, but the mother has direct access to the children?" Very interesting. Yes, she does have access to the children. She has access to her own. She has access to culture, and she even said she wouldn't let culture listen to her stuff. So yeah, so you would put that out for other daughters to listen to. And remember, Cardi B is also a daughter. you know so I've never been one of the type of parents that say, oh, well, what's good for me is not necessarily good for you. Y'all, I've never done a drug. So when I tell you I can talk this talk, I can walk this walk with my children. I've never done a drug. Even when I had my children, I didn't do the epidural. The only thing that I did for my daughter was New Beam, and that just helped me sleep afterwards because my body was still just racing so much. And for my son, I didn't do anything, and I've never smoked weed. I mean, I was always high enough, I guess, by myself. I was always high on the spirit. But even with my choices, like I said, I'm very honest with my children in my relationship choices of the past, of my indiscretions. When I was married to their father, I'm very honest, and it hurts. It hurts, but it's very honest and being accountable. But it does come a time where you've got to take that on and be just that honest, because of the fact that that it is reaching other people. And then when you say, "Hey, I'm in a position," you can't tell me that Cardi B doesn't understand her impact, because when you could get up in front of a head of state who has now allegedly become the 46th president elect, when your impact or influence has given you a path to get in front of a head of state, you absolutely know your influence. You absolutely understand why you are significant in a conversation regarding the culture. So as stupid as I think she is, she ain't that stupid. She knows. She chooses to believe what she wants to believe when she wants to believe it. But words are power. She wouldn't want anyone treating her. She wouldn't want her daughter conducting herself the way that she conducts, the way that she advocates for other women to conduct themselves. And she won't want anyone treating her son the way she advocates for treating other women's sons. So that's my statement on that. Snuggles, Sir Senior says, Snuggles, you are responsible for what you do and the people it affects. Okay. All right. Absolutely. So Snuggles says, so every time y'all talk about white supremacy, I want y'all to blame black people for indulging in the white supremacy you all say is the problem. Is that a question or a statement? Because that was written a couple of different ways. That was written a couple of different ways. Brother William, because we're on this topic, and this hits very home to you in regards because of your work with youth. What are your thoughts in regards to the power of the parents versus the influence of pop culture when it comes to this discussion?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. In my experience of psychology, studying psychology, children children has an inclination towards everybody else except their parents. So after a while, they learn, hey, my mom and dad was right. But along with that, peer pressure and so on and so forth. That's a good one. That's a real good one. They both are important. I think though, the big picture. I think we missed the big picture, and I think and I hope this is relevant overall. Um, the revolution, really, the Black Revolution is us getting along, coming together first before we actually think about guns and bombs. We have to think about how to form a unity, a getting along, working together in businesses, and so on and so forth. That's how the revolution starts. That's how it starts. It don't start with bombs and guns. I'm like an alter ego to Malcolm X and Khalid Muhammad, and I believe in them. And at the same time, I believe that their attitudes are the ones that we they set the example for us, so we have to carry it out. Now, I don't know if I answered your question about the children, but let me just say that both are very influential. Both both elements are very influential. But at the same time, there's a bigger picture in it all, I think. But we have to, parents are the first people I look at as responsible. And then along with the parents, then come, the community. So, they're inseparable. So if a parent is being out of order and a community is being out of order, they're going to have some relevance at some point. I rest my
Now, uh, the let me ask you, with your working with the youth, what has your challenge been with the parents? Because I've always found that it's been really hard to engage parents. Um, but like I said, it may have been just Miami, because when I was in Philadelphia, the parents seemed to be a little bit more engaged. So I always thought that it was just Miami. But what are your thoughts here? I when I was here in Atlanta, less than a decade ago, those parents were very hands on, very hands on. But what has been your experience with developing the Black Youth Congress?
well, what makes my board team has came to the conclusion that we was going to start out with young adults first. So that's what we focus on, the young adults, 18 and over. And as we develop and get the foundation set, we're going to bring in the underage, of course, with the consent and in some cases participation of the parent. But we decided not to go into the complication of underage children until we actually get a ball rolling to our satisfaction. We're going to come together on when we're ready or not. But meanwhile, we're not dealing at this time with underage youth. We're dealing with youth 18 and older. So I don't know if I answered that question, but yeah, it's very important that we actually get the ball rolling, so we can get the program started. And like I mentioned earlier, the program that we have, I believe, is a model for every city, every black organization, every black person to imitate in every city in America. So we opened up a penny investment club. We're teaching them how to think together, how to save money together. So it's like a really basic start. It eliminates all excuses because if you ain't got a penny, I got one for you. It put emphasis on the ability to communicate as a group, and that's the beginning of a revolution because we need to learn to communicate with one another and exchange ideas. So, that was my
Uh, since your mic is, I feel it too. I felt that you were saying some stuff, but your mic is kind of low and it's going in and out.
It's going in
Hello,
and out.
Apple, California. Welcome, welcome, and have a good night, sis. Thank you so much for stopping in. Sir Senior says, so if the problem starts two different places, you have to handle both. True. But I think as Brother William was just stating, the parents are who we want to focus more so on, because at the end of the day, the kids go back home to the parents, you know. They go back home to the parents, and so or we would hope, right? They go back home to the parents. Um but at the same time, pop culture is very influential, because peer pressure is beyond, and when we think of peer pressure, I think that we tend to think of it just in one general scope. We have a very myopic view of it, where we think of, oh, okay, peer pressure is someone, basically trying to peer pressure your daughter into, having sex, or pressure your son into doing drugs, or but hey, I want to be very frank, like y'all know, again, just full transparency. I remember in high school, guys were basically convincing other guys to come with them to pull trains, you know. Making videotapes became a thing. And so, the guys were like, hey, get this girl on video, come, just encouraging one another to even set up the situations in their homes. Um, and that not only is that dangerous, that's illegal, and they were encouraging each other that way. So I think we tend to think of peer pressure as only like one particular vein, but y'all, peer pressure comes in all of these really very complicated scenarios. And if y'all are parents out there, you know what I mean. It's not just like one size fits all. Thank you so much. Good night, Apple. 10 John says it starts with integration. Too many black families, mainly the mothers, feel as though white people got their credentials and the kids must listen. Another form of slavery. Oh, that's good. That is good, Tan John. That is good. Another thing um is only to know he is only thing another thing is only to know nothing about, and that's drugs and drug use, because that's something that that pregnancy brought to our neighborhood. I'm think I may have missed something, or I may have been out of order. Let me see what this other one says. Um, I think parents need to start teaching their kids about white supremacy, and their white people cannot be trusted. You guys need to learn how to teach them to stick to their own. Let me tell you, I grew up with two very, very race conscious parents. Um, I'm gonna hold my story. Y'all met my daddy. When he was on the live. Most of y'all did anyway. I know a few of y'all were in the room. Some of y'all might not have been, but a few of y'all were in the room. Y'all met my daddy. But Brother William, how were you raised? How did your parents raise you? Did they raise you to kind of treat everybody the same, or did they raise you to be, mistrusting of white people? I'm actually interested in knowing this. How are you raised? And try to come into that mic, because I know some people said that your mic might be a little low, and it's
Okay,
very
okay,
important. I want to be able to hear you.
okay. Could you hear me now? Could you hear me? Can you hear
No,
me?
still a little
Oh,
low, still a little muted. Are you on a headset? Because sometimes those headsets will mess you up. That you think that
yeah.
they're supposed to be better, but
Yeah,
they're not.
something wrong with my phone. Could you hear me now?
I can hear
Can
you,
you
but
hear
you're
me?
still low. You're still low.
I'm still low, still low. Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a headset because something wrong with my phone, and I put it on volume, and I can't use it without putting it on
Oh,
volume.
I
They're
can hear
gonna
you
send me
right
a
now. I can
okay,
hear you
okay.
good right
All
there.
right,
Right there.
Okay, so real quick, not to make this about me, but I was raised by a single parent. So my mom, she was in and out of jail. So I come from a dysfunctional family. My dad didn't claim me, so it's a real serious, deep, powerful story. All right, so and then I could tell it one day and how I recovered. But anyway, I come from the I come from hell. I come from the worst of the worst. I had a really bad family history myself. Anyway, so I don't know how to answer. I don't want to go into my story, not at this time.
What about did your mom or did your family, did they teach, were they very mistrusting of white people? Did they teach
Yes,
that to you?
well, I had when my mom was not around. My grandma helped raise me, and my grandpa. But my uncles, one was a Muslim and one was a Christian. Jimmy and Anthony, they were influencing me in my life, so they were my teachers growing up. So I picked up on different views from from their different perspectives. So that was my whole nutshell growing up, learning from them, and they were very, oh man, they were very conscious of what's going on in America. So they were very cultural, and that's where I get my cultural, I guess, passion and values from.
Uh, okay, so I grew up in a two-parent household. Mom and dad both,
Okay.
African American. My dad was a Air Force vet. My mom, they both ended up being social workers. They started out both as educators. My dad was a teacher, but my mom went straight into social work, and that's where she ended. That's where when her physical life ended, she was a social worker. She was actually the executive director of a uh organization that she ran head of for the United Way for 16 years. My dad was a social worker for the Department of Human Resources, and they both raised us. There was five of us. My mom and dad married after my mom's second marriage. Her first marriage ended. I'm sorry. Um, and they raised five children together. My mom had three children from her previous marriage. My dad had none. Then they had my sister and myself. But they raised us. We're all HBCU grads, and they raised us to be very, very aware of racial and social construction and conditioning. And they also raised us to be very suspicious and concerned about white people and their interactions in community, politics. My parents read the newspaper every morning together. They sat and read the newspaper. They had discussions amongst themselves. They didn't involve us, but occasionally here and there we would ask questions about this or that, and they would definitely chime in and contribute their 2 cents. So you can imagine my surprise that after my mother did pass away, after she transitioned, my father married a white woman. And that has always been a big of a shock to the family. It's been years ago, so now of course we're a lot more, dare say, used to it, but it still is very much, it is odd because we were absolutely raised to not uh for lack of a better term, we were raised to not marry interracially. We were. So my dad said, as he told me after he and his new wife had been married about 2 years, that he actually felt like he and my mom, his first wife, had taught us incorrectly. That was something that he felt bad about towards the later years that he felt like he couldn't undo, but he felt as though by that time we had already developed whatever we were going to feel, and that was that. So it's a very good question, but it does a lot to it is a lot to consider when those same parents that have raised you to believe a certain thing actually say, you know what, I've grown past that. And I may no longer believe that. Hello, guy Nollywood. How are you? I'm going to read over these comments that Tanjon, you're in here tonight, sis, and I appreciate it. Tanjon says, my apologies. I meant that street drugs taught in the schools are directed towards our babies in school, and drug use, alcohol, and sex education. These are the things that are targeting our babies by them. Yep. Um, let's see what else. Condolences to your mother, Queen. Oh, thank you. Let me tell y'all, Rosalind was a real one. She was a real one. Said she got your father. Yeah, yeah. Who got my father? The white lady? Yes, she did. She did, y'all. She did. And let me tell you, he was dating a black woman right after my mom died. And let me tell you, that black woman was so respectful, y'all. That black woman, her name was Margaret. So you're out there, Margaret. You're a real one, sis. I may not have wanted a mom, I had already been raised, but I did always appreciate how respectful you were with all of us. Let me tell you, when Margaret wouldn't call that house after a certain hour, just being respectful, she wouldn't come in the house. She said, when I come to pick your daddy up, my dad's name is Richard. She said, and she drove a truck too. And she would come and pick him up sometimes, and they would go out. And she said, I'm gonna wait on the porch. I'll wait on him right here. We would offer her, we would say, hey, do you want to come in? You want to sit down? She would say, oh, no, no, no. Just out of respect, I'm not gonna come in. Let me tell you something. Margaret and he dated about 2 years, and Margaret was a really good woman. She was a really good woman to my dad, and I'm really surprised he didn't marry her. Very surprised, but they say the heart wants what the heart wants, right? Right, y'all. So that's where we stand on that. But my dad and my mom definitely taught us to um respect ourselves. They taught us to not interracially date. They taught us to be aware of reading in between the lines, you know. Um, they taught us that education was very important. We're all HBCU grads. Um, oldest sister is from Clark, Atlanta, here in Atlanta. Second oldest sister's FAMU, like me. My sister that preceded me is Dillard University out of New Orleans. And my brother also is a FAMU Rattler. So, we were the Cosby kids growing up, y'all. We really were. But my dad was no Bill Cosby. Or maybe he was, y'all, because y'all know Bill Cosby like the little he liked the little swirl too. So Tanjon said the devil is a liar. Okay, Tanjon also says, let's see here. Tanjon, I love your comments. You're very political, sis. We definitely have to talk. We got to do something together. I need to have you on the show. You've got to start coming. You've got to become a member of the MX Media Group so you can start having some panel discussion leads. Tanjon says Joe Biden planning the new crime bill to lock up our babies age 8 and up. Kamala Gupta Harris will lock your babies for life. So congratulations to the voters. Girl, I thought you said Nevada was swinging Trump way, and I thought you said you didn't like it. Okay, Snuggle says, explain the problem with interracial dating. I would like some education on that. Well, the problem in regards to what? It's not that I had a problem with it, it's the fact that my parents had that was something that both of them very much adamantly preached against. I'm not saying I would have had a problem with it, but I tell you, my dad, at 13 years of age, um, my brother showed him my diary, and at this point in time, y'all, I was very, the only type of boys that I was messing with were white boys. I wasn't messing with no black boys at this age. At 13, nah. White boys were like very much my steez. And so, because I like I like music that may not wasn't so popular for black kids. And, I was always kind of quirky that way. And so my brother showed my dad a journal entry that I had written about a particular white boy named Henry. And my dad called me out in that garage, y'all. And y'all know a man's garage is like his workstation, right? So he had everything out there. He had saws and boards and hammers. I thought my dad was gonna kill me, y'all, because let me tell y'all, this journal, these diary entries by Henry, they were not PG-13, y'all. They were not. I was 13, but they were not PG-13. So I thought my dad was gonna kill me. But he called me, I went out to the garage. I said, yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was low with it. He said, Courtney, the first thing is don't write stuff you don't want other people to read. This house is a full house. So somebody is bound to get into your journal. And I didn't read all of it because I didn't want to. And I could just tell my dad was really fighting back very hard emotion as he shared this with me. But he said, but what I want you to really think about is that everything that you want to do with this white boy, give a black boy a chance first. That's what my daddy told me, y'all. And I was 13 and I said, okay. And he gave me my journal back. And from that day on, I said, all right.
I can make a statement on my position.
You said what?
My position on interracial marriage. I wanna when you finish. I wanna.
Okay, yeah, let me hear your statement. So, and speak back into the mic because I want us to catch this. So,
Okay.
William is going to share his statement on interracial dating for Snuggles. Go ahead,
Number,
William. The mic
number
is yours.
one
I'm gonna
is
put myself on mute.
a misrepresentation of whether it's a moral or immoral thing. Is actually a case of a natural thing. What we are what I'm a black man. I'm an African man. Everything that reflects that is what I am. So when I look in the mirror, if I don't marry what looks like me, it's unnatural. So I'm not saying it's immoral. I'm saying it's just unnatural. And the best way to best articulate what I'm saying is that if a bumblebee falls in love with a fly, what's going to happen is they're going to exchange natures. A fly, the bee going to start behaving like the fly, and the fly going to start behaving like the bee. It's just that simple. So it's a case of nature. It's not a natural thing. It's not natural for the two races. Even though if they did, they're just going to be having different characteristics based on their nature. That's all. I think it's simple. That's my. I rest my case. I hope you heard me.
Oh yes, I heard you. That was such a great analogy because listen, a bumblebee and a fly both fly, but one gets their nutrients from shit. Let's talk about it. The other one, oh, it dropped a little S word. I gotta watch it on my channels. But one gets their nutrients from excrement, and the other one gets theirs from flour, from a flower. Wow. Um, so I will just say this, like I said, it wasn't that so much that I was against it. It was the fact that my family, my parents both were both very adamant and a solid unit when they talked to all of us about not interracial dating. So I think maybe naturally I might have, because like I said, there was a certain point in my life where I was, only involved with white boys. But after that conversation with my dad, And even with the conversation, I was like, just because of the fear that I had in my heart, I was just like, you know what? Okay. So if he telling me not to mess with none of these other boys anymore, I ain't gonna do it because I didn't want to get called out to that garage again. So let's read this other statement by Sammy. If you want to read that, Brother Wood.
Interracial dating, that a good topic because interracial black kids cannot be left out. Okay, let's just go. I want to give a human example. I use the bees and the flies for example. And I'm still standing by that. But another human example: if an African married a Chinese or a Japanese married a Mexican, it'd be the same thing. What happens is you simply take on the ways of that culture. It's really simple. America is very black and white. We thinking everything is black or white. You got other cultures in the world, but the nature of white people is not the same. I emphasize that strongly. It's not the same as the nature of Africans and blacks. We're not the same. So I wanted to emphasize that real quick because people are trying to include we're all part of the human race. Well, the bees, like I say, fly, and like you said, bees fly, flies fly, but just because they bugs, they don't mean they the same. Dogs, you got different dogs. You got a dog species. You got a Chihuahua, right, and a pit bull. Even though they both dogs, right? They still different genes, different nature, different mindset. So we have to be realistic about this. And this is one of our problems. We're not realistic about the nature of what we are, of what we are, and who we are by our God, created by our God. I guess I mentioned Michael.
Okay, so some people they are listening and they're agreeing with your point. Your mic is still low, but they're agreeing with your point. They like your analogy. Snuggle says, "I like his analogy, very well done. But remember, you have a bunch of bumblebees living in the world of flies, and they're all acting like flies. But did genetics steal that of the bumblebees?
Well said.
Um,
Well said.
but did genetics steal that of the bumble? I steal that of the bumblebees. I'm trying to just understand what that
Well,
means.
well said. I've understood 30% of, I mean, 70, 80% of it. That's well. I like that.
Okay, so Tan John says, didn't John Cena, I think it's a Facebook or a YouTube, uh um so John Cena said it or Adele said it. Adele tells this black rapper that being with a black man is uncivilized. I believe it's not accepted. Um I didn't see that. I haven't been on Facebook in a couple of days, so I'll check Tanjon. But if you wanna share that link with me, I'm gonna drop another email for you all to engage with. Well, I'll email you from that Tanjon from my other email. I still have my city official email still active. I'm gonna email you from there. That nothing gets blocked from there. So prayerfully it'll go through. Um Tan says, my daughter's father is black and Filipino, and most of the black and Filipino families married black. My daughter became a little light with softer hair. She doesn't can't claim black like that. Wow. Wow, how old's your daughter, Tan? Donnie goes in, says only problem with interracial dating is the Mizungu is trying to commit genocide on black folks, and we need to preserve our existence. If that wasn't a problem, it might not matter. Um, I hear you there. I will say this: most black people I know have black spouses. Most black people I know have black spouses, but I do understand what people see because I can tell you as far as with dating, I you know I seem to not be able to just even uh just find someone my same age group that is not married or not involved. that is honestly looking for that type of commitment, because I am looking to be married again. So that has been difficult to find another black man in that regard. But as far as the black people that I see, most black people that I see, they're with other black people. You know, they are in a relationship. They with other black people. I don't see, even in Atlanta, where I've heard that it hasn't picked up since I last was here. Um, from what I see, most black people are coupled up with black people. Snuggle says, oh, Tanjon says, I used to be Asian persuasion. I thought love was love and I learned the hard way, but I never hated my brothers, and that's the difference between me and certain other sisters. I agree. Oh, okay. So Tanjon said, I said, did y'all see Adele tell this black man that it's uncivilized or it's unacceptable to date black men, period? Brother. She said, I disagree. She cuts him off and says, I'm going to disagree with you. Wow. Interesting. That is so interesting. Also, because she was just on Saturday Night Live, and they did a skit about how all these white women go to Africa to basically get their groove back. It's a really funny skit, and she's in that one. And she was the one that was holding her character the longest. The other two that were in it, they kept breaking their character a little bit. Um, Tanjon Zoo says, if a black young lady already has it in her mind that she don't like black men at all, doesn't have to be anything he's done, and she dates out her race, she's going to stay that way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Sir Senior says, because they are taught that flies are better. Oh, so he says that that's why bumblebees around there acting like flies, because they thought that flies are better. Ooh, I hate to see it. I hate to see it. Let's see. Snuggles is laughing at that. Let's see here. Um, Snuggles says, and most of these bumblebees are not procreating with flies, but still procrastinating with bumblebees, but still acting like flies. So, can you explain that phenomena? Okay, and most of these bumblebees are not procreating with flies, but still procrastinating with bumblebees, but still acting like flies. So, can you explain that phenomena? I gotta be honest. At this point, I'm a bit confused as who's the bumblebee and who's the flies. Um, are black people the bumblebees? I need to know. I don't think William. You That's not a question for you. That's a question for Snuggles, because I think like he's like saying that bumblebees are acting like flies, but they're not procreating, but they're still acting like they're better than the flies. So I kind of think that I think bumblebees and flies are in Snuggles' eyes. And just clarify your statement, Bumblebee. I mean, clarify your statement, Snuggles. But I'm thinking that he's saying bumblebees are the women, and flies are the black men, and bumblebees being women are out here pretending like, oh, we're swirling and we're gonna be doing this and that, but they really aren't. But they still are acting like they're better than the flies instead of just getting with the flies. I think that we moved the conversation from interracial dating to black women and black men problems. Personally. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I got it. I got it. So Tanjon says your daughter is 21. Wow. Got it there. Yeah, she's definitely already, because I was thinking that she was a younger girl. I was like, oh, it might be some time. She might be able to kind of come more so into herself. But yeah, at 21, she's definitely formed in her head what she is and what she likes. It reminds me of that movie, The Imitation of Life. Oh my gosh, my mom used to love that movie with Mahalia Jackson singing The Troubles of the World, about the girl that was raised. She thought because she looked white, so she was raised to only regard herself as white. The mother was dark skinned and a maid, but she would tell people she was white and that was her maid and not her mom. So it's a really good movie. I'm gonna type it in case you guys have not seen it. Um, oh, so Snuggle says we're still in interracial dating. I didn't realize it. I thought we had moved the conversation because I don't know who's the bumblebee and who's the fly. Honestly, I didn't. So the movie is called The Imitation of Life. If anyone wants to check it out, absolutely. Y'all, we're gonna give this about 10 more minutes. If anybody would like to come on up to the panel and discuss or weigh into anything tonight. So what we started out this conversation with, just to circle us back around, was talking about the corporation plantation and why this is as good a time as any to escape the corporation plantation. You all, I just can't say enough how much COVID has literally left the gate open, y'all. It's left the gate open. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever visited a plantation, but I have. Let me tell you. Um, and I visited a plantation. We actually spent the night at one. It was a gift from my ex father-in-law to us for an anniversary present. And when I say left the gate open, that's such a slight term, and it's really disrespectful because that would have been the least of the issues when escaping a plantation. You all, the front door from freedom, the front door to the roads were miles. It wasn't like walking out of your front door and you just walk two steps over and you're catching a bus. It was miles. And when we came to the plantation, it was pitch dark. It was that night, and they had no lights. So it just, even driving up to the front door, it recreated this entire experience. And I haven't seen Antebellum, but I heard a couple people say that there's a couple of scenes like that kind of plant. They do that it recreates that kind of feeling or energy, because we visited this plantation years ago, many years ago. Um, okay. So I say that to say this, that I know there are no simple answers. We're not going to have simple answers here tonight, but what we are going to do is elevate conversation so that, like I said again, you aren't shaming people when you hear that they're independent consultants, when you hear that they are entrepreneurs. I think that we need to start receiving that information differently because, again, I think I know I'm speaking for myself personally, but it does um it does make me feel, really bad sometimes when, I said people, they don't know. So of course they're going to speak ignorantly of it, but it makes me feel bad when people say, well, why don't you have a job? And they say it as though I don't work. Like, y'all, if y'all saw my day is slammed, writing another book. So personal deadlines. And on top of that, I've taken on the task of saying, okay, well, I'm going to homeschool. And then on top of that, it's only me. I'm a single mother, and just if things need to be done, fixed, grocery shopped for, the working out, the cook, I'm doing all of that. I'm doing all of that. And y'all, I was doing, most of this outside of the homeschooling, except for the homeschooling. I was doing this last year, and I was uh, attending 3 to 6 community meetings a week because, with my position in the community, and ran 3 businesses. So don't ever get it twisted when someone tells you they don't have a job, with meaning that they don't work. So again, I think that we just need to start engaging that conversation a whole lot differently. So Snuggle says, and by the way, Courtney, You should be dealing with men 10 years your senior. There's a specific reason why I said that. Where does that come with talking about the when we're talking about the dating pool? Well, I will say this. I would not mind that. I don't get that type of interaction. I want to, okay, can I just break for a minute, y'all? I mean, I know we're talking about the corporation plantation, but I know I mentioned it because I said too that that's the only area that I see that there might be a little bit of, okay, it's not really happening like that when I talk about myself personally, because I haven't been in a relationship for 6 years, and when I have you know been looking at dating or dated, it hasn't been successful with black men or with any men for that matter. But I'm not opposed to dating a man older than me. 10 years, I don't know, but I always say about 7 years is my cap up. 7 years is my cap up, and I used to say 5 years was my cap down, but I think I've had to shorten that considering my most recent situation. I think I'm gonna have to reduce that to probably 3 or 4 years if I'm going to go junior. But
Can I make a
um
suggest?
the I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not getting that either. So I don't even know where these men 7 years or 10 years up are either, Snuggles, to tell you the truth. Because I'm just not getting none of that. I'm not getting that area. I'm not getting that age group. I'm getting like older 20s, young 30s, and then 60, 70. That's honestly what I'm getting. That's honestly who's approaching me, and or who is basically telling me that they want to make me their they want me to be their girl. At least that's what I was getting before I left Miami. 60 and 70-year olds. Yeah. I was not getting any 40 and 50-year-old guys.
Can I say
Uh
something?
you said what? I can't hear you, brother William.
Yeah, I want to share something on my position in terms of finding just dating in general. I just want to share my position on it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm trying to
Number
hear. You're low, but I'm trying to hear. I'm trying to
Wow.
lean in.
Wow. Okay. Number one, for me to pursue a wife that is in America, black, or in Africa is the same. So we have a huge world in Africa, and we have a huge world America to find our reflection. So that's my position. It's the same, even though it's slightly different in terms of experiences and so on and so forth. We are brothers and sisters, Africans, Black Americans. We are brothers and sisters. So for me to marry an African woman or a Black American woman would be just as loving for myself, which reflects me, as it would be, uh, as opposed to going outside of my race. That's all I want to say. I want to just share that.
I wish I could have heard it. Hello.
Oh man, you didn't hear me.
I'm
You didn't
telling
hear
you,
me.
it's really low. You're gonna hear it when you
Okay,
do the
hold on, hold on.
playback.
Can you hear it now?
Oh, that sounds good.
Okay, you
Yeah.
want me to say it again?
Yeah, say it again in there.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just okay. I'm just hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just sharing my position in terms of my pursuit for a wife is whether she's in America, she's black, or whether she's in Africa. That's the same. I say it's equally the same. So, in spite of the experiences of history between the different type of my people, we still the same. So the pursuit, we have a whole lot of Africa and a whole lot of America of our people. So as opposed to dating outside of my race, I got all of this as a choice. So I just want to say my position. That's all. That's all I want to say.
I got it, and I heard you loud and clear that time. So Snuggle says the reason why I say you are. I don't want y'all to think that I'm not watching or paying attention to your messages. I am. I am. Definitely in trying to make sure that we're engaging and staying on topic as well. But I'm not breezing past anybody's messages. But yes, it says okay. The reason why I say 10, you are older woman now, and to men within your age group, unless you all were together when you were younger, you are now just an old woman. And if they're my age group, aren't they old men too? I don't have a problem with being an older woman because, you know, I feel like, I mean, I keep myself together pretty nicely. And I don't have a problem with being an older woman. But when I'm dating someone in my age group, I want them to have just as much maturity. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't know what that statement was saying in regards to, but it says yes to those older men, you're young tenderoni, and to the younger man, you're a nice person with great experience to have under the belt. Well, I'm not just looking to be under somebody's belt. I am looking to be a Mrs. again. So yeah. So Donnie goes in and says you're better off in the 50th range brothers. They should be done playing games. I'm not getting approached by 50th brothers. I don't know where they are. They are not in my church. Like I said, at my church, I'm dealing with mostly 60 and up, 60, 70 years, 60 and up. So 60 up to 70s. If they're single, if they are my age, they're mostly married, especially in church. And there are only like really about three other brothers in my age group at my church that are in their 40s. And they are definitely married. We have some 30-year-olds that are the musicians, but y'all know how it goes with black churches and the musicians. You kind of get the feeling like they might not be all the way heterosexual. And y'all know from my last experience, I'm not trying to go that route again. Um, I'm really not. You know, I would like to think that I could be a little bit more open minded and not look at it that way. But I was even told by that person that I'm what do you call me, homophobic. I don't think it's homophobic to just say I don't want to date a man that has been with other men.
That's right. It's
But
a preference.
right, it's a preference. I don't hate gay men, but I have also been told very recently by, if y'all have noticed, I lost a few subscribers because I was on a Facebook post um about not allowing the LBGTQ curriculum in schools because that is leading an agenda. And I had two I mean, people, very close people that I worked with, that I've, fought with, not fought alongside, not fought with, but they were members of the LGBTQ community, and they basically told me they were disgusted that I would say such a thing, and they were not going to be able to support me in my endeavors, and that hurt. I've known them for years. One was a female, the other was a male, and they've never known me to just be discriminatory against them. But at the end of the day, that is something that I feel very strongly about. I don't think that LGBTQ curriculum belongs in schools. It does not. So I had to stand 10 toes down, and I lost. I lost about 27 subscribers. They definitely went on a little crusade. So I lost
Is,
about 30. But
is that a loss or a gain? If I had a thousand, if I had 1,000 followers,
brother,
right?
brother William, you gotta say that. You gotta say that again in the better mic, because I need to make sure the people in the back heard it. Amen.
It, okay, is that a loss or a gain? If I had 1,000 followers and 500 of them didn't like me because they were LBG, then go on about your business. I mean, that's how I feel. That's a gain. So I'm way
It,
back
well,
on
it,
everything.
it wasn't go back to, but what hurt me though, what hurt me about it, brother William, was just the fact that These people have known me for years. I'm not a person that breeds hate. And even though you and I have only known each other a couple of months, you can feel that from me.
Yeah.
I don't breed hate. I don't teach that. So if this is something that I'm telling you that, I have children. Both of these people, well, one of them, the female, interestingly enough, she's pregnant now, where she plans on raising her child in her with her female lover. It's a mess. But the gentleman doesn't have children. So here I am saying, no, this is something that I have seen with my own two eyes. And this is something that, I'm telling you, it is very concerning that you'll pull prayer from a school, but you'll put in an LBGT curriculum, LBGTQ curriculum. And I said that absolutely is an agenda, and I won't be a part of it. And I will sign a petition. And he told me how hurt he was and how, it insinuates and it goes against everything that he is. And how could I say that he is these
What
things? And it hurt me
is
that he felt I was personally attacking him with
right?
my views.
Well, let me say one other thing. You got me a little bit shook. Okay, first of all, you should sleep on. You shouldn't not sleep. You should sleep on. You should be all right because you say you knew the person for a long time. But just think about it. I think they're more of haters. They're like a community of themselves, in and of themselves, a whole entirely natural in nature, a different type of people. But they're the
Yeah.
haters because if I stand up and say, "Well, this is my preference," and
I
then
said
you
the
say, "This
same
is my
thing.
preference," right? Then how in the world you gonna attack me because I prefer this and you prefer that? So if you're attacking me, you the hater,
I said the same
not me.
thing.
So how in the world? So they're haters. They're the ones haters, not you. You're a lover. You love people. You
I
love
am. I really
right.
am.
So
I
a
really
hater,
am.
a person who loves people, will automatically respect your preference. If you can't respect my preference, then you don't. You're trying to dictate my preference. So you the hater.
Absolutely.
You're the hater.
Absolutely.
They're the haters. The LBG. They're the haters.
Come on, Wood.
Gotcha.
I'm hearing you loud and clear now, brother. That mic done cleared up.
Good. Good.
Um,
Good.
Snuggle says, Donnie goes in, says, Omega Courtney, you don't need them anyway. Why is it okay for them to have an option, but yours doesn't matter? Agreed,
Absolutely.
agreed, agreed.
Absolutely.
Highlight that one. Um, Snuggle 668 says they were never your friends to begin with. I
That's right.
agree. It wasn't necessarily about friends. It was more so about, well, what the gentleman. This gentleman has literally, he has an allergy to certain things. I've cooked for him when he was sick and made things, around it out. So the fact that he would take this situation and say, "How could you hate me? I don't do this. I'm not a pedophile." And I said, I never say anything of the such. But the fact that you took it this way, so it was more so the fact that someone would take an opinion and use it to as a weapon. And then, like I say, he definitely they coordinated other people, and that really. But I'm gonna stand 10 toes down, y'all. Have heard me say that many times, and like I said, I wouldn't tell y'all to
Absolutely.
do something I wouldn't do. I'm gonna stand ten
Absolutely.
toes down on that. It is an agenda. I definitely told him it wasn't a personal attack against him particularly, but I know for a fact because I have children in the school system or had children in the school system. There is no way that I would ever support an LGBTQ curriculum being taught in the school system, and it did hurt because this particular brother has always been a big support of policies that I push, of my businesses. He's always supported, but when it came to this, it hurt me that we had to break ties. But again, like you said, at the end of the day, I can't look at it as a loss. It's got to be a gain, because of the fact that I stood down on my conviction. So I gained favor. May this not be visible at the moment.
I
Tanjon
believe
Zoo
you
said
will.
something very important that I wanted us to revisit. Tanjan Zoo says my cousin Shantae was 41 years old. Her dude was 51. He put her eye out. She died around her kids because his feelings was hurt. She doing all the work and he ain't doing nothing, laying on his ass. Tanjan, my condolences for your family, for yourself. Domestic violence is such an issue, especially in our communities, because again, we can go out and we can give the boss man and whomever else our our best, and we come home and give the person who's loving us the most our worst. I've
That's
seen
right.
it time and time again. That's unfortunate. And y'all, just so I'm not looking for a type of relationship where I have to walk on eggshells around, my significant other. I've done that before. Thankfully, I wasn't married to that type of man that I had to do that, but I definitely, for a short period of time, I dated someone for about 8 months that I had to do that around, and I thank God that I got out of that situation. um, but I will say this, just being fully transparent, wanting to have love and companionship, it does sometimes, it does sometimes alter our view on what functional companionship and healthy relationships look like. So that's another reason also why, it may seem like, okay, I've been out of the picture for 6 years, and you know, um that I should just be throwing myself back in, but it's a reason why I don't do that. It's a reason why I don't do that. I had a very good, you know, ex-husband. I've seen very good quality relationships, and if it means that I have to wait a little longer, then patience is a virtue, because y'all know some of the best cooked meals take the longest to prepare, y'all.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I'll
That's
wait
right.
for my slow cooked meal. I'll wait for it.
You know,
What'd you say?
I want to say something real quick. It is our community. We need actually a verbal as well as visual what a functional relationship is. I'm saying a discussion on it. Sometimes that topic itself is a topic that is necessary for counseling. Like, what is a good husband? What is a good wife? Or what is your
Yeah.
concept of? And this by itself is therapy, and this is the way we got to build ourselves. We got a therapy and ways of visualizing as well as verbalizing what is a good mother, father, husband, wife, so on and so forth. So,
I agreed. I do think that and like what we were talking about earlier today, we had such a good conversation just in regards to a good relationship start with great communication.
that's
And
right.
and and, and that's from day one. We can't communicate from day one. What's that going to look like on day 100, day 1000? You know,
Right.
we have to really start realizing that as a people, good relationships, good relations start with great communications. That's
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 right.
that's the bottom line, and
Absolutely.
that's where we need to start. Um, so Donnie goes in, says, I'm saying that because I'm about 50, happily married, and have no time for playing games. Donnie, that's you though. And I will say this. I've been looking at, like I say, your comments for the past couple of videos that you've been involved in. You have a great energy. Brother William has a great energy. I'm saying that I don't think brothers like you realize, you all don't realize that there are not a lot of brothers like you out there who are interested in having conversations, who are interested in building, who are passionate, who are patient, who are compassionate. I think that was one of my biggest mistakes when I first got divorced. I thought it'd be easy to find someone like my ex-husband, because my ex-husband was like my dad, and I had a brother, and I just thought, well, these men they're out here, and no, they ain't. No, they are not. No, they are not. I remember thinking, I thought clearly, after I got divorced, I thought I'd be remarried again within 2 years. I was in another relationship within 2 years, but marriage, no. It's been now 8 years I've been divorced, and yes, I was engaged to a gentleman. But that gentleman, as Sister Tan John was saying earlier, the age group, that's not necessarily true. That gentleman may be he's close to his 50s now, but at the time we were dating, he was in his, early 40s, and he was definitely still very much a mama's boy. He said he felt like we rushed it. We were together for 3 years, and he said he felt like we were moving too fast towards marriage. And this dude was in his early 40s. He had no children. He had never been married, and he had the nerve to tell me he felt like we were rushing it. I said, "Well, I'm not in the business of making nobody feel like, they're doing something they don't want to be doing." So I went ahead and left that relationship, and I have been single and celibate ever since. Um, so right, Tanjon Zoo, you hit it on the head. You said, Donnie goes in, that's because you're a good person. Everybody's not you because of their age. That's not fair. They even say that my cousin lost her life over a man that was 10 years older than her. That's true. Donnie goes in, yes, that is true, but I don't, let me tell you this about Atlanta in that whole regard. Don't believe that hype. Don't believe that hype, because the men that I know, the men that I see, like I said, they are they are married, and I'm not saying that down low doesn't exist and that sort of thing. But I want y'all to read in between the lines. It is a reason why they want to continue to paint Atlanta to be this swirling pot of this cauldron pot of homosexuality and Sodom and Gomorrah activity, because at the end of the day, it's still one of the highest ranking places for Black professionals. So read in between the lines that you honestly have just as much homosexuality going on in places that are not publicized. And the reason why you don't hear about them as often is because they do not have a high concentration of African American population. They don't. So, because I always used to think it was hilarious that people down in Miami would, talk about how, oh, I can't believe you came from Atlanta, everybody is gay there. And I'm like, and you saying this in Miami, where you get off the plane and you see, people with pineapple draws, and, I said, when I get off the plane in Atlanta, I land in an airport that's named after two Black men. But you get off the plane in Miami, and you see all types of sexual deviant activity. But you don't hear about, the HIV rate and down low in Black gay people. They don't ever talk about that being in Miami. So I always think that that's very interesting that Atlanta gets the to be the poster child for down low and African American gay people, but yet and still, um, they don't want you to realize that it's still a high concentration of Black wealth here. That's what they want to continue to draw away from you. Okay. So KW Don 7, you're right. I don't want to date someone who is sexually confused, i.e. LGBTQP. No, I don't want to date that, but what the reason why people are just having a discussion now is because it's becoming more and more prevalent that's a big question. Hey, would you be willing to just to, you know, be in a relationship, or could you date someone who did that in their past? It's really becoming a very hot topic amongst single women. It really is. Um, Donnie goes in, says it's some trash dudes in every age group. You're absolutely right. Snuggle says, doesn't that remind you of the people in the Democratic Party is doing right now to people in the Republican Party because they don't have the same ideals at certain points. Yeah, it's very true. It's a similar thing. Similar thing. Oh wow. Let's see. Anthony, I just saw your message. Let me go back up. Hello, hello. I'm sorry I missed it. You're setting Anthony says I'm setting thirst traps for the glowers now. How am I setting thirst traps for the glowers, Anthony? Anthony, you know what? I'm so glad you're here tonight because I've been meaning to email you. You have honestly been on my mind and heart. I'm definitely going to do that today. I'm going to send off the email. I should have sent it off yesterday because you've been on my mind and my heart. I'm going to send it off to you today. So be looking for that. You've just been on my mind and my heart. I have some scriptures I wanted to share with you. And I'm definitely going to do that today. So I'm so sorry I missed that message, but you know why I posted. So if you're talking about this picture, let me tell you guys. So I have I have a great friend from the church from my church down in Miami, and he said he I had messaged him and I have a new number, so he didn't recognize my number. So he said, "Hey, bro, I've been looking for you." And I sent him this picture, the same one, and he just to be like, "Bro, I'm not bro. Like this is me." And he was like, "Oh my God." He said, "That picture's really good, Courtney. You need to use that on a dating app." And I said, "I do not do dating apps." I said, "The only thing that I have is my YouTube channel." So y'all can thank brother Victor for that picture. Actually, it wasn't to be a thirst trap, but he said it was good. I got to put this up as my poster, so I went ahead and did it. Um, yeah. So Tanjon says, "Well, you don't need no sugar daddy. Don't let people push you into your uncomfortable zone." No, yeah, and I'm not looking for a sugar daddy. Absolutely. You guys are so great. Thank y'all so much. I'm just reading through all the messages. They went by really fast. Thank you. Oh, Anna Lou, hello. Anna Lou Coffee lovers, you're new to the room. Hello and welcome. Make sure you all like, comment, share, and subscribe. I think that uh we unpacked a great deal. I know, as we usually do with these topics, they tend to go a couple of different ways. I do think we do need to start addressing and appreciating that not everybody has the same journey. So again, we don't want to shame people that may not uh, come from the whole hey, go to college and get a job and work it for a million years, as African Millennial said yesterday. That was such a good show too. African Millennials, Sammy's Treasures, Miss Roots Online. You all please subscribe to my sisters' channels. They are really just bringing forth some great content. Tanjon Zoo, I want us to email because I really want to start getting you up on some panels. I love your contribution. You have a great mind. Snuggles, thank you again for always adding, these truth bombs to get everyone thinking and challenging us. Um, so Snuggles says, have you ever thought the reason why you don't have the same type of men that you are accustomed to out in the world just laying about? I don't know. I don't know. And Anthony says, in those 8 years, you haven't been able to find a quality man or your husband's caliber? No, I haven't. No, I have not. That's just the God's honest truth. No, he was, my ex-husband was older, but he looked younger. So that was a perk. Um, just physically, he was really what I like also. And physically, I have been able to find other men like that physically, but mentally, man, my ex-husband, he's a genius. He's a genius. He's just intellectually, you know, just a real genius. And it's been really hard to have really good conversations like how we used to have. Um, so somebody asked, the Snuggles want to take me out? Who asked? Oh, Dan John. Dan John said, Snuggles, you want to take Courtney out? Hey, okay. Um, let's see. So Tandra Sue says, Anthony Taylor, we're not talking about dating anymore. We're talking about what the kids are being targeted by. Stick to the subject. Her subject is saving our babies, not what type of men to be with. Thank you, Tanjan Sue. Yeah, Anthony is a friend. He is a friend, Tanjan. So he came in. He came in later, so he's trying to catch up a little bit. Ah, Anthony, thank you so much. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love that picture. I really do. I think it just really captured a lot of um my energy. And I love, my son took that picture, y'all. So thank you again, Anthony. You've just always been just an awesome gentleman. Thank you so much. So mm, Tanjon Zeus says, Anthony Taylor, what do you think needs to be happening with the schools if you're not going to homeschool your babies or put them in a black owned school? Yeah, I think that we do need to be sticking more to the idea of homeschooling. And speaking on that subject, Miss Roots Online will be the featured guest this Friday discussing homeschooling for our children, for us. As I always like to say, for US, y'all, for us. Donnie goes in, and I'm just reading back messages. So if y'all already passed this conversation, I'm so sorry. But Tandra says, oh wait, Donnie goes in first of all. Says, lately I'm seeing more guys having cheating women issues. Maybe that's why it's harder to find a good man. The bad women are messing over them. Well, Donnie, I can definitely testify and provide a testimony. I was a cheating woman, in my 20 years ago. Um, yeah, I can just say to those women, you really don't realize how bad it is, how bad it can be. Please get yourselves together, get in church, or get with an elder who will speak some life into you in a situation. Even though I will say this, and I'm very honest with my journey and with my situation, when I was conducting myself that way, you couldn't, I had older sisters who tried to talk me better sense into me. It wasn't something I saw my mom nor my older sisters do. But yeah, it when you get that spirit in you, absolutely. It's a very difficult thing. It's like a drug. It's a very difficult thing to just shake, you know. Stopping cold turkey is also very difficult. It is like a drug. And like I said, I've never done drugs, but if there was something that I would compare having an addiction to, it definitely was that. It would definitely was that. Um Tanjon Zoo says Donnie goes in. We're not even worrying about that because the only reason why women cheat is because they're suspecting their men cheat. Am I correct on that? I am a woman. I hear the same song. I didn't suspect my ex-husband of cheating. I just, I wanted more attention than what he was available for. And like I said, I was young and stupid and was not fully investing in being what a wife needs to be. So that's me personally. I can't say for other women, but that's me personally. All right. Um, so Snuggle says, I want to hear more about your past things that you say you were a cheater. Yes, I was. 20 years ago. 20 years ago I was. I was. But you know, thankfully for all of us, our past doesn't define us. And I pray that um I continue to offer a voice of reason for some people that might be experiencing this at this point in time, because it really is a trust killer. It really is a relationship killer. And you just don't appreciate how powerful it is that you are having relations with someone else and giving your body over somewhere else. Sex is so powerful, y'all, and we just really have got to stop treating it as though it's a recreational activity. And that wasn't even my issue. I wasn't even like, oh, it's just sex. I wasn't even like that. But what I was not appreciating that it's hard to come back from that. Once someone you have a soul tie with someone, it wasn't like, oh, I could just leave this person alone. Mm-mm. I couldn't leave him alone. I couldn't leave him alone. Um, Snuggles, you always do this. When I'm about to end the live, you always want to have like the private conversations. Listen, you have my information. We can email and exchange. You have a copy of the book. The book is not, is not my life per se, but it is a lot of pieces from that book were definitely detailed in a lot of pieces from the book were definitely details from my life that I just reworked from another perspective, another angle. Absolutely. What? Donnie goes in says, I can recall at least 7 men who have had horror stories right now. Female horror stories. Yo, we are not gonna do this on this channel tonight. I promise y'all we are not. Um, Everybody has issues, y'all. Men have issues with women have issues with men, women have issues with women, men have issues with men, though they might, kind of get over them a whole lot easier than females do with other female relationships. But I would just say this, it is my literally my favorite Bible verse. It's First Peter 4:8, and it says, above all else, love each other because love covers a multitude of sins. So y'all, please, please, I don't know what y'all are spiritually, um, but please look at that. Please look at that verse. Please look at that verse. Hey Nancy, you done walked into something, Nancy. Nancy, like what? Nancy, like this is some new stuff. Anthony, thank you so much again. Yes, I'm telling y'all, y'all, those are my size sixes, y'all. Y'all, I haven't been able to do size sixes in how long has it been? I haven't been able to do size sixes in about ooh, y'all, I'm not even kidding. In about it's been about 6 years. It's been about 6 years for a size six. So I'm 7 pounds away from size four. So y'all, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. And if y'all have not seen it yet, please check out my how to lose weight during a pandemic video. My kids put it together. It is to Whatever It Takes by Imagine Dragon, who we love. Cannot wait until they come anywhere near Atlanta. We've got to see them in concert. So, y'all, that's what I'm doing it for. My babies are my legacy. I hope y'all know. So, as much as I would love to be married again, y'all, if it doesn't happen, y'all must know that I am beyond blessed. I had a great marriage. I had their father is my ex-husband is a great father. My babies are amazing. And I'm good. I'm good. So, I don't want y'all to think that I just come on here just to give y'all some sob stories so I can find me another man. Nope. No, my ex-husband was a very high value man of a certain caliber. I don't care if Kevin Samuels never approves of him. Um, he was a good man, and yeah, I know that if I can't get someone on that caliber, I'm okay going into the ground with never experiencing that again, because I had a good 13 years marriage and 15 years with my ex-husband. So Tanjan Zoo says, girls, if you're saying several of these black men have done nothing wrong to these women and they just went out and went to go cheat, something's wrong with that picture. I I oh, Donnie goes in. Okay, because you said I thought you were saying, hey Donnie, girls, let's talk. But you're saying Donnie goes in. Got it. Snuggle says but you need to refrain from asking any more personal questions because now from your post, it looks like you're beating off. You want to hear more to get off. Tanjon! Woo! Tanjon. Okay. Why am I not being approached? Because I'm always with my kids, y'all. I think it's just not it's not something I'm slowing down for. I get approached all the time. I do. My kids can tell you that, but there it's not the type of men that I want to be approached by, Like it was a brother today, beautiful brother. He had a dashiki, and I was like, "Oh, nice dashiki." And he was like, "Thank you," and kept it pushing. And I was like, "I know." And I went up to him and said, because he was a taller brother, you know how I like him, y'all. If I was like, "Hey, nice dashiki," I know how to do the little Michael B. Jordan voice, and I know what to do, but I'm with my children. I'm not going to do that with my kids. I'm not going to I'm not going to make that play with my children. So when the men approach me and I'm with my kids, I am giving them the side eye like, y'all see I'm here being a whole mama. Like I'm not paying no attention to you. And then like today, like I said, that gentleman today, he is my type. He is someone that, I know what could do to engage in conversation to get the move going. But because again, I'm with my children, I'm not I'm not trying to pick up dudes while I'm with my kids. So it's a complicated, situation, a scenario, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. Wow. Okay. So Tan John says Anthony Thomas Taylor. It kicks ass. The best thing a parent could ever sacrifice and do for their babies is homeschool them Black Power style. Very true. The problem is not what people see in your relationship, but what is the outcome of your relationship and what you see the use and what you see the use of the relationship in your life. That's a good point, but I don't know. I don't know particularly if that's like aimed at me particularly, but yeah, I mean, I have two babies and I think I do pretty well for myself, you know what I mean? So it's I'm definitely not I'm just not chasing after dudes, and I know it would be a different situation if I was. I would just say that. I know it would be a different situation if I was chasing after dudes, but I'm not. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because I know there are things that I could be doing to compete in that situation because dating is it's a competition, and I know that. But I don't, I don't want my children to ever feel that way. That I put them to the side so I can kind of go chase some peen. You know what I mean? Like even if that peen becomes my husband, I don't want them to ever feel slighted. My babies are. I have a diamond and a son, and I know that they're impressionable. I know that they're watching. Even my son broke my heart a couple of months ago when he said, "Yeah, you had a lot of boyfriends after dad." And I'm like, I had two, but to him that was a lot. He's 11, and I dated, two guys. One gentleman, like I said, I was with him for 3 years. But to him, he said, that was a lot. That was a lot. So, and of course, nobody's going to be his dad. So that's the situation there. But I hear you. I hear you. Wow. So y'all are having some real hard conversations here. I want to jump off this panel, William, and just watch these conversations. This is kind of getting interesting. So the, I don't know if you're reading the comments, but it said they're having some real conversations. And John is here. Donnie goes in, is in, Snuggles is in. Y'all, we about to turn this whole conversation over. Um, but yeah, y'all, I just want to thank you all for again rocking with us tonight. Remember that you never know what somebody is dealing with behind the scenes. So, this conversation did come from me just taking a couple of things personally because of the fact that yeah, I think that it's always perceived that when someone's not working a 9 to 5, they should be doing more with their life. And like I said, you just never know how someone else is navigating and what they are doing. And I think that a little bit of that shaming does come from a little bit of jealousy sometimes, where you might have wanted to start a business, but you felt you couldn't. But we have to get that together. Oh my gosh, she did, Anthony. Anthony, I was praying. I promise you, I was praying. This is such big news. This is such big news. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is huge, Anthony. I love it. I'm telling you, that's why I told you you've been on my heart and my mind and my soul because I said this brother seems is a really good brother. He just seems like a really good brother. He's a gentleman. Like, I hated the way things were getting played out. And I've been meaning to email you, I promise you, since Sunday. So I am definitely going to now. Oh, I'm so excited, Anthony. Um, so there are grown men and grown boys. Women have to figure out which one you're dealing with. True. Um, Tanjan Zoo says, I have 3 brothers. 2 are cheaters. One is trying to get it together, and the other brother is happily married to a woman that's 10 years older than he is. They've been together 13 years. Wow, that's a good conversation for another day. I may not be the best person to talk about it right now because my every time that I've dated a younger guy, it has not panned out well. But I still do think it is a worthy conversation because a lot of women do email me about it. They want to have panels about it, but I just feel like, shoot, I'm in no position to tell someone to try it because me dating younger guys has never panned out well. You do have to fill me in. You have to email me. We have to talk. I love it because I'm telling you, Anthony, you have been on my heart and my soul since I can literally show you. I can take a picture of my in my prayer book and show you. I've been supposed to email you since Sunday, but there's a lot going on and I hadn't gotten around to it. So I was really glad to see you come in tonight. So thank you again. Um, wow. Wow. We are really doing a relationship thing. I don't know if y'all are interested in doing coming back after we close this panel and discussing it because I kind of feel like we need to, but I do have an early day tomorrow too, y'all. I do. I have an early day tomorrow. There are a couple of areas that I need to visit in, but this is such a good conversation, and I really like the way we're having it. There's not the name calling. The energy seems okay. I would love us to continue it, but it is really late, and I promised the kids pancakes in the morning before we headed out on our activities, and we have to get out earlier than we usually do. Um, so I'm gonna Tanjon, look for an email from me from a different website. I'm sorry, a different email address. I'm going to email you right now. Donnie goes in. I'm going to email you right now. And Anthony Teller, I'm going to email you right now. Um, Donnie goes in, says Tanjan Zoo, relationships and contracts. You wouldn't buy a car or house without reading the details. Uh, I disagree. Boy, I'm telling you. Sometimes you drive in that car and they make you feel a certain way. You just sign your name on the dotted line because that thing makes you feel a certain way. And I think the same thing goes for relationships. I with a house, and I've seen plenty of people make very shoddy house deals because of the location, because of um, you know, uh, just cathedral ceilings, bay windows, things that they have always wanted that they never have. had, I'm not saying they don't read the details, but they don't read them as finely as they should, or they may not even understand the contract as finely as they should. Um, taking advantage from my home to my job for no reason. Wow. And you know what? And let me tell you, Tanjon, that's who I feel the worst for when I think about what I have done. The fact that, I have cheated. We have to. I'm going to set up another one. So tomorrow, Keisha Green is going to be leading the conversation of "Are you afraid to date?" Now I know Donnie goes in. You're married, so you're happy in that regard. But Tanjon, you might want to come in for that one. Keisha Green, our licensed life skills coach.
Courtney, if you can hear me, I think you're breaking up. Are you there? Are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Courtney? Hello? Can you hear me?
Ted John said that the white man is holding back the stream. You are too funny. Well, you all, that is my cue. Once I start getting shut it down. But yeah, can you hear me?
Now, you were breaking up for a minute. I can't hear you now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear that. I can hear that. I can.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can go ahead. Oh shoot! Now I can't hear you.
Can
Are you
you hear me
talking?
now?
Yeah, I hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying when my signal goes out like that, I said it's time to just. Okay. So again, I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Yeah, I'm talking. Okay. I just want to thank you for coming out tonight as well, Brother William, and joining us on the panel. Um,
Okay, thank you.
and I want to thank Sammy's Treasure for literally just lighting up the evening with that awesome conversation. Please visit her channel, subscribe to her channel. Please, Tanjon, email you right now. And they are messing up my signal. So I'm going to just thank you all for coming through. And until next time, y'all know what to do. Glow up.
Glow, glow up. Goodbye, everybody.
Brother William.